What's up, YouTube? Today you're gonna see the face of a broken person as he tries to farm the patient card, and you can look at my face. I don't look happy at all. Now, why might that be the case? Because I've done over 50 Delimir promenades and I still don't have a patient divination card. So at this point, I'm pretty much wondering what exactly is going on. How is it possible not to drop a patient divination card? Because I'm looking at my Dying Anguish cards, and I have a lot of Dying Anguish cards. So for anyone that doesn't know, most people farm Promenade and Delimir pretty much because it has two really good cards, which is the Patient and Dying Anguish, which is alt quality gem. Now, a lot of people used to do Promenades in the past. They used to get 3, 4, 5, 6 patients in one map, maybe even 8 patients in a map. Now, this league, you're getting 0. I've done over 50 Delimir Promenades, and I kid you not, 50 Juice Delimir Promenades using Polished or Gilded Divination Scarab on every single one of them, and I found absolutely 0. Now, at this point, you must be thinking that something is wrong. Maybe my account is flagged for lower drops, but that's just not the case. So we're going to go into exactly why this is happening. And also, this pretty much ties into the topic of this video, is why you can no longer find Apothecary. And this is a lonely guy right now. He is alone, and no one is able to find him. So we're going to see why we actually can't find any high tier div cards. Now, at the start of this league, I was pretty pumped because Defiled Cathedral and Crimson Temple were still in the map pool, meaning that you could actually still magic find Apothecary cards. So I was like, wow, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to be running an even better map than before with an even better league mechanic than Sentinel. Well, that's probably not true, but I was full hopium. I thought that it was going to be the best experience ever with the new maps, the new atlas and everything. But after running 100 Defiled Cathedral and Promenade maps, I have come to the sad conclusion that farming divination cards have been massively nerfed for T0 uniques, and this is GGG with the nerf gun. And they probably shot us a couple times, and we pretty much have 0 drops. So I wanted to make this video because I was on Reddit, and I saw this person wrote about the 1000 map feedback of Crimson Temple. Now, this is not maximum juice. He's not doing Conqueror maps. So he is pretty much running the map lastly with Beyond, Strongbox +2, Enrage. So what Enrage does is it gives you 500% quant. And he was doing Alva. Now, this league he was running with Abyss, Strongbox +2, Enrage, Haunted Traders, and +4 rare packs. Now, he ran all of the maps with 20% deli and 75+% quant in both scenarios. Now, last league in 1000 maps, he found roughly 13 Enlightens, 22 7 years bad luck, 9 Apothecaries. This league, he found 4 Enlightens, 6 7 years, and 2 Apothecaries. So roughly around like 25 to 30% of his original drop rate. Now, this person wrote that divination cards took the biggest hit out of everything. I ran the 1000 similar to this league, but a little different. And he's saying that he was running Polished Divination, Polished Ambush, Polished Abyss. And lastly, Reliquary, and this league he was running Expedition Scarab so he could actually sustain the cost. And he did come to the conclusion that Beyond was the biggest difference. He felt that the mobs had pretty much half the monsters as before because he was using a Beyond Sextant and there was just no mobs in the map compared to before. Now, it's interesting to know is that this person wasn't even rolling Beyond on every single map, and this difference was already noticeable with only the Beyond Sextant, which I think is like 6 or 8% from last league. So this is not even having the actual Beyond on the map device or having Beyond rolled on the map. Now, my own personal experience is I ran over 50 Delimir Promenades with full Magic Find, right? This character has an insane amount of Magic Find. Let's see. We choose the Tornado Shot. You can see here. Miscellaneous. You can see we have 80% quant roughly and 610% Magic Find. We account for the 45% chance. So I found 0 patient cards, and that is right, a big 0. Now, lastly, I would find roughly 3 to 4 patient cards a map solo, while being able to sometimes even find 2 in one Alva temple. Now, you might think that this is just like low sample size, but 50 is quite a bit of maps, and there's a lot of people in my chat who said they ran 100 and they only found 1 or 2 patients. Now, in the beginning, I thought they were just trolling me and that it was impossible that you could only find 1 patient card in 100 Promenade maps, but I'm well on my way to that level. Now, Alva Temple has been hugely nerfed. It was actually crazy last week. I think I got 3 patients in one Alva Temple once. Now, in terms of my defiled cathedral farming, I've probably done roughly 100 defiled cathedrals so far. I have found like 0 apothecaries, but I did find 3 7 years bad luck and 4 enlightened. So compared to this person, I pretty much found around the same amount of enlightened as someone who ran 1,000 maps. So maybe Magic Find does do something. Who knows, right? But my sample size is pretty much way too small to draw any meaningful conclusions. Now, something else that gets brought up, and I do think that this is the main reason why it's so hard to find Apothecary or Patient or Doctor or any of those cards, and why many people have said that Stack Deck is no longer as good for Apothecaries as before. And someone on Reddit mentioned that the rate of uniques has been reduced by about half after testing out 20k rerolls pre and post 3.19. Now, the reason behind this is GGG actually mentioned that they were going to globally nerf unique drops. So this implies that Ancient Norms are probably heavily nerfed for getting Mage Blood and Headhunter. I think before Ancient Norms for Headhunter and Mage Blood was roughly around 12 to 1500, but I'm not really sure what it's going to be right now. But it is a fair conclusion to draw after seeing how GGG said they were going to nerf all of the unique drop rates because they wanted to reduce the number of unique items dropped throughout the game and rebalance a large number of unique items to make them much more distinctive and exciting. So pretty much they're saying over the years this has led to the amount of unique items drop being raised so that finding an exciting unique item is still an occasional possibility, but this also further devalues the average case of finding a unique item on ground. So they're pretty much trying to make it so that when you find a unique, it is much more valuable and it feels better to find. So they're trying to address this problem of Path of Exile's unique items are quite underwhelming when you find them. Now, this is probably still the case for the majority of items in PoE, but it is a fair conclusion to draw that they heavily nerfed the T0 unique drop rate. And by that conclusion, they probably also heavily nerfed the T0 div card drop rate related to those uniques. And I do think that this statement right here is pretty much one of the biggest reasons why it is so hard to find Patient and Apothecaries in this current meta. Now, there are some other things going on, and this is another huge problem. And this is the impact of Beyond. Now, a lot of people were always running Beyond Sextants on their map. And when you were doing the juice maps with Crimson Temple, you were also running Beyond on the map. So you would actually actively roll Beyond on the map. Now, in previous leagues, you would probably even have Beyond on the map device. Now, the current Beyond is absolutely horrendous. I have been over this many times. And it actually ends instantly in any juice map. So as soon as you find a Scourge boss, it actually just stops spawning any of the little Beyond portals on the ground. The Beyond portals will no longer spawn in any single instance when you find the Scourge boss. And this pretty much results in the map having like around 50+% less monsters than before. And another thing to note is that a lot of these monsters are also rare and uniques, meaning that they have a much higher than average drop pool. So Beyond has been completely gutted. Now, another thing is the impact of Alva and Ambush. Now, a lot of people know that when you do any juice maps in the past, you would always try to put Alva Temple, and you would always take these snows that make it so that the incursion drops more stuff. So you have the 5% quant here. You would also turn all of the mobs to magic. And then there's another more pack size nodes here. And that was pretty much one of the core tenets of the juicing philosophy in the past. Now, currently, when I do Alva with no Beyond, the amount of currency and items that drop is absolutely pitiful compared to before. And the funny thing is that Chris actually wrote in the manifesto or whatever that in incursion and regular non-league content, you'll find 25% more currency drops. So after doing incursion and trying it out a lot, there is no shot I'm finding 25% more of anything. A lot of times I clear an Alva Temple in a juice map and absolutely nothing even comes out. So I have no idea if this statement is true or not. Now, Alva was a huge source of currency divination and unique drops. I would say in my experience with doing Crimson Temples, I think the drop rate of Apothecaries was roughly half from Alva and then half from opening ambush strong boxes. Now, lots of Apothecary cards did come from ambush strong boxes, and it is possible that ambush strong boxes are considered past league content and had this huge multiplier to quantity and rarity like GGG mentioned. Now, nowadays when I do the ambush strong boxes, it feels really bad And I don't know if it's nerfed or not, but it just doesn't feel the same as before, and not much loot is actually dropping. Now, Alva was also insane in the past because Beyond also affected Alva a lot. Because when you go into the Alva, it's a pretty small confined space. So when you go into a small confined space, that means whenever you kill a mob, that there's a bunch of Beyonds that spawn. So that's probably another factor with why Alva was so overpowered before. Now, this statement is pretty fun to read, is that players have been saying we reduce drops by 90%. But in reality, that type of difference could only be true in the most extreme situations, including Beyond, Delirium, and Incursion, stack of Poverty, Quantity, Rarity, Sextants, and Scarabs. So pretty much, they're saying that the drops have been reduced in juice mapping by over 90% roughly, and they're not even really denying it. But this fact that they're trying to say that in Incursion on regular non-league content, you'll find 25% more currency items is just absolutely crazy. I'm not sure how they came to that conclusion. Now, overall, farming divination cards for T0 uniques have pretty much been destroyed purely because of the unique drop rate nerf to T0 uniques and because of the nerf to pass leak quantity and rarity to pass leak mechanics. Now, both these things combined makes farming Apothecary and even farming the Patient or maybe Nurse is like pretty much trying to win a lottery where it's nowhere even close to being anywhere deterministic as it was last league. Like last league, if you were doing Juice Conqueror or Crimson Temples, you pretty much could expect to find a Apothecary roughly one in every like 50 maps, and that's pretty low end of how many maps you would have to run, or high end, I mean. Now, for me personally, I'm going to swap my farming method to winning the lottery on Dunes with God Touch Rare spawning, because I do think the lottery is a lot better. I think it's a 1 in 10 rather than a 1 in 500 like that guy said with Crimson Temple. Now, I do think party play actually still works to some degree. Now, I don't know if these people got lucky, but I did find a stream of some party people playing the game in Defiled Cathedral. And in the text right here, you can see that they've got 9 Apothecaries and they actually found 43 as their biggest divine drop pop. So maybe if you really want to find Apothecary, the only choice you have is to find 5 friends and to go magic find and just play the lottery with divine orb drops and play the lottery with Apothecary drops. So in the end, if you're trying to farm Apothecary cards and you think that it's anywhere near the same as last league, you are sorely mistaken. I would probably find a new farming strategy, because if you're trying to gun for Apothecary, it is probably not going to end well unless you're just the luckiest person in the world. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Apothecary and Exalted Orbs than me, and see you next time. Bye!